Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah.
And when he was demanded of the Pharisees when the kingdom of God should come, he answered them and said, The kingdom of God cometh not with observation, neither shall they say, Lo here, or Lo there, or behold, the kingdom of God is within you.
The tabernacle of the Most High, the kingdom tabernacle of the Most High is with men. Because the tabernacle of the Most High is like the temple of the Most High. That's the kingdom, right? It's with men, so that means we got the knowledge. So we already have the tabernacle of the Most High. We already got the kingdom. We already have it. Spiritually, we have it. But the physical part is going to come. The physical manifestation of it is going to come soon.
Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord.
The kingdom of the Most High is within you. So you brothers, the ones of y'all, you sincere brothers, y'all heard what the scripture said. The kingdom of the Most High is within you. So we already got the kingdom. So the kingdom, it was given to us back in Matthew 25 when Yahweh Shah came. The knowledge, this truth. That's why this knowledge is nothing to play with. Here it is, the Lord then blessed you with the kingdom already. It's within you.
Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah.
To the glory of our golden age, may it shine forever.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Makakdash, double honors unto the apostles and the elders, GMS, rule well, teach well, being great examples to us younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Makakdash, pushing get up out there. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers and listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah. All right, and what I want to get into, with this live stream is a message to you everyday Edomites. All right, a message to you everyday Edomites. Okay, because in the grand scheme of things, all right, the prophets are mainly addressing, the the elites. When we speak about, the wickedness and the source of wickedness in the earth. Okay, but you everyday Edomites, all right, you're a part of the problem as well. Okay, and you've had your hand, all right, in the wickedness. You've been able to, enjoy, okay, the wickedness, the benefits of the wickedness of your elites. Okay, and you played a major part in terrorizing our people, because it wasn't the elites, okay, that was hanging, all right, Jake, okay, that was feeding Jake to, alligators, the gator bait. Okay, it wasn't the elites themselves that was doing those things. Now they financed, all right, this system, they financed the colonization of these different lands, okay. They financed, you Edomites' ability to go to war, okay, with the tribes. Okay, they financed the boats and slavery. Okay, they financed the tool, okay, for slavery. You see, so they financed the system, okay, and you everyday Edomites played a major part in being a terror to Jake, okay, and taking advantage, all right, of your people being in power. Okay, when you go into the history of the atrocities, done to our people, well, it was you everyday Edomites. Okay, the picnic, going back to pick a nigga. Okay, the carnivals where Jake had, had the Jake children, head in the hole, and you're throwing baseballs at, the Jake head. Okay, the human zoos experimenting on the Israelite woman. Okay, bulk breaking Jake. Okay, those you everyday Edomites, man. Okay, and you benefited off the wickedness. All right, that was done up top. Okay, and you have your own wickedness that you're guilty of, man. So you everyday Edomites, you walk around as if you're innocent. Okay, as if you just inherited, all this privilege, based on your superiority. No, it was based on wickedness, man. Okay, there's a judgment for that. All right, so you everyday Edomites, you can get ready as well. Your elites, okay, from the elites down, all right, to the least, okay, you Edomites are going to get judged, man. Okay, and you all have 1,000-year captivity, all right, to serve, and it's going to be a rigorous, hardcore captivity, man. Okay, so let's go here. Let's get this in the book of Michael. Okay, and this is inspired by a video from the brother Yaqua challenge Hopeful Lake 3. This is Michael 2:1. It says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. Okay, and this begins with your elites, because the elites are able, because they're in their comfort. These elites, they've done all this scheming and scamming, to have all this wealth, power, and influence, which the Lord, gave the earth into their hand. Okay, it says when the morning is light, they practice it because it's in the power of their hand. Yeah, they have control, okay, of these governments. Okay, they have control over these militaries, you know, they have control over the economy. Okay, so they've been able to customize, a society, a kingdom, okay, for themselves, okay, in the earth, man. You see, and they're able to have these councils and then execute their council because they have the power in their hand. They control all these different entities, man. The resources, the food, the gold, okay, the school curriculums, entertainment, media, okay. So these devils, they're able to practice their wickedness because they're in power, and you everyday Edomites, you had a thing called a casual kill, okay. When you go into, all right, let's see if it give us something. It's a thing called casual kill, all right. Let me see, casual kill. Okay, let me see, casual kill during slavery. All right, so let's go here real quick. If you everyday Edomites ain't exempt from the judgment. All right, your elite, your elites are at the forefront, okay, because they're the most responsible, okay, for the wickedness that's in the earth, this great rebellion. All right, but you everyday Edomites, okay, you're not off the hook. Okay, there's a lot of emphasis on your elites and the wickedness they got going on. Okay, but you everyday Edomites played a major part, okay, in death or robbery, all right, and rape by people, man. Northern and southern kingdom. Okay, it said the Casual Killing Act of 1669 was a colonial Virginia, all right, a law that legally exempted enslavers from murder charges if an enslaved person died as a result of extreme correction or punishment. It declared that because enslaved individuals were property, their deaths could not be prosecuted as premeditated murder. Okay, so you had a thing called Casual Killing Act from 1669. Okay, starting in Virginia, and it went beyond just slaves. Masters killing their slaves, man. Okay, you Edomites pretty much had the license to just off Jake because you didn't like, how Jake was looking that day. Okay, this was you everyday Edomites. Okay, because most of our people didn't come in contact with the elites. You know, we suffer under the system of the elites, but as you everyday Edomites, okay, that were able to, you know, express your racism through violence, through rape, okay, through terror. Okay. The horror stories that we get from slavery come from what you everyday Edomites, man, because you had them green light to do so. Okay, because you had a system set up to where you wasn't accountable for how you treated Jake. You could do Jake any type of way. You know, the Israelite man and the Israelite woman. Okay, the northern tribes that was already here. Your government gave you permission, all right, to do as you please. Okay, and a lot of you Edomites that was responsible for a lot of wickedness against our people. You're back today. Okay, and you're here to be judged. And the Lord got you right here in the lake of fire, man, so you can feel the full brunt of the Lord's anger, man. It says extension of the law in 1672. It said the law was expanded to legally protect individuals who injured or killed enslaved people while attempting to capture runaways. Yeah, so even your slave patrol had the authority to off Jake. All right, to their discretion, man. It says bizarrely, if any enslaved person was killed while resisting capture, the enslaver was compensated with public funds for their lost property. Okay, so you had all these, you know, laws set up. Okay, they gave you Edomites the green light to pretty much do what you want. Okay, especially a lot of you Edomites in the South. You see, and that's why, you know, they went to war, because these Edomites in the South, man, they love that authority and their freedom that they had to just have their way with Jake. Okay, that's why eventually I say they went to war about that, man. Okay, that's why, you know, down here they call it the Old South. When they say the Old South, this is what they want. Them rebel flags. This is what these rebel flags represent. When they had this authority, and when the average Edomite had the free range to do what he wanted to our people, man, to terrorize our people at will. Okay, so let's go here. Let's see. So let's go back to this precept. It's the book of Micah, chapter 2, verse 2. It says, and they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away, so that they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage, man. Okay, so all the lands that you Edomites, all right, live on, you got in blood. Okay, all these lands that you Edomites enjoy. Okay, even when you Edomites, because you Edomites get to travel everywhere for the longest, you know, you catching hell now. All right, because your elites, okay, are consolidating the blessing to themselves, which they only gave you crumbs of the blessing, you know, and we survived off the crumbs of the crumbs, okay, but they only gave you Edomites, you everyday Edomites, the crumbs of the blessing. You know, your peak was in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and after that, you Edomites started going downhill, okay, but for the longest, you been able to enjoy, all right, the robbery and the deception, okay, of your elites. You know, you got a little kickback from their wickedness, man. You see, to where you can go travel here and there, okay, and it's already a tourist and vacation spot set up for you, okay, while the locals suffer, man. Okay, so you Edomites, all right, you everyday Edomites, you've enjoyed, all right, your share of the spoils of this kingdom, okay, and it's rough on you now, but that doesn't mean that you're that you're not out. That doesn't mean that you're off the hook from judgment, man. Just because your elites are screwing you over, okay, that's between y'all, all right, and ultimately the Lord from the judge all you devils, man. Micah 2:3 said, therefore, thus said the Lord, behold, against this family, you see, every descendant of Esau, Edom, against this family is the whole nation. Do I devise an evil, bad times? And that's going to be from your elites, on down to the least, okay, of you devils, man, from which you shall not remove your necks, neither shall you go haughtily, for this time is evil. So you're not going to remove your necks. None of you Edomites, man. Okay, you try to play innocent, you can try to act like, you know, none of my ancestors owned slaves. Shut up, you're an Edomite. Okay, and if you had the wealth that the elites had, you would do the same thing because you have this built-in hatred for Jake. Okay, you would invest a lot of money into terrorizing and destroying Jake if you had the money that the elites had, man. Okay, you all you Edomites would do the same thing. Okay. So against this whole family, the Lord has an evil. Okay, you're not going to remove yourself from this judgment, man. Okay, I don't give a damn if you all right working 2 or 3 jobs as an Edomite, you catching hell, the system ain't working in your favor. Well, that's your elites doing. Okay, you still got a judgment from the Lord. You still got 1,000 years of captivity. Okay, it said for this time, all right, for this time is evil, man. It only gets worse for you Edomites. Okay, and you can sit here because in this quick video, all right, you got this Edomite complaining about Jake. Wait a minute. Matter of fact, let's play the video. Okay, let's play the video real quick. Say it's a quick video.
You know, I'm going to say it like this. In my opinion, the white man should have never ended slavery of the black community. White man should have never abolished slavery. Because once they were free, look at the shit now since the white man did slavery. But yet we're blamed for what happened and they never ended it. We should have kept slavery of the black people. I may get a lot of hate for saying this, but that's what I say. I say we should have never ended slavery. Because now these motherfuckers got too much power. And they're blatantly racist against the white people. Well, I'll tell you, I think it's time the white people start being racist against them and we bring back slavery. How about that? Have a good day.
You see that? And that's beautiful. Okay, that's beautiful that he think like that. Okay, because you Edomites should, and see, there's a lot of these Edomites that think like that, man. You know, these fake smiles. And okay, so a lot of these Edomites think like that, man. Okay, no Edomite wants to see Jake, okay, in a good estate. And see, they talk about, you know, these certain niggas, which we get on our people too. Okay, but who created niggas, man? Okay, who glorifies these niggas? Who incentivizes our people, all right, to be degenerate? And Jake got to pay for that. 2/3 going to pay for that, man. You know, for continuing on, all right, in the way of wickedness, man. Okay, destroying themselves, destroying their own people. Okay, there's a judgment for them. But guess what? There's a judgment for you everyday Edomites. And your elites created these niggas through the music, through the media. Okay, you see, they created these niggas, and we have to deal with these niggas more than anything. Okay, Jake not a terror to you Edomites like that, not yet. All right. Well, guess what? You everyday Edomites, okay, you around the way Edomites, you know, because you go to a lot of these cities, the Lord got it set up to where, you know, you can be in the hood, you know, for 2-3 blocks, and then you right there in, you know, in Edomville, you know, the next few blocks, man. Okay, and when this shit get chaotic, man, all right, hey, them young niggas is gonna come like for old Snaggletooth niggas like that, man. Okay, you coffee and cigarette Edomites, man. Okay, Jake gonna be a terror. These young niggas gonna be a terror unto you, man. You know, cause both of y'all are pawns, all right, on the chessboard, man. You know, the Lord gonna have y'all taking each other out, man. But them young niggas gonna be a terror, all right, to Edomites like that, man. And the Lord got it set up perfectly, man. All the gentrification, okay. But the niggas that you're complaining about that you hate, your elites created these niggas, man, through enchantments and social engineering, okay. The crack epidemic, okay. Where all these niggas get these guns from? Who manufactured the guns? All right, you Edomites, man. Who dropped the guns off to Jake, man? Okay, your own elites, man. Okay, so let's get some more precepts. Let's go here. All right, because it's just the beginning, you know, and it only gets worse. Okay, you know, the Lord has a judgment for, like I said, you everyday Edomites. Okay, and you elites, man. Okay. Matter of fact, let's get this real quick. Let's go here. I want to get this in the GNT. All right, because we know, you know, that you Americans, you know, are likened to the modern day Egyptians. All right, so just as the Lord, you know, judge, you know, everyone, you know, from Pharaoh to the common man, well, the same thing is coming back. Okay, and I want to get this in the GNT when you go to Wisdom of Solomon 17. All right, because you Edomites are in the same position, all right, of these Egyptians, man. Okay, which oppress, you know, the Lord's people. Okay, and it wasn't just Pharaoh, it was, all right, the whole Egyptian society that oppressed Jacob, man. All right, them Hamites, all right, the Mizraim. Okay, it says, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 17, verse 1 in the GNT. It says, "O Lord, your acts of judgment are marvelous and hard to explain. That is why people who had not been taught about them went astray. When lawless people imagined that they had your holy nation in their power." Okay, and now this were these Egyptians of old, all right, ancient Egypt. But who's the modern day, all right, Egypt? America, man. Okay, and you Edomites are in the same positions, all right, as these ancient Egyptians, man. Okay, you damn Hamites. Okay, it said when lawless people imagined that they had your holy nation in their power, they were themselves imprisoned in a long night of darkness. They lay in their own houses, shut off from your eternal care. Okay, so you Edomites are lawless people. Okay, you are godless people. You see, you are a nation that the Lord hates. All of you, man. Okay, and as you have power over the Lord's people, all right, you committed a lot of wickedness, man. We was giving it to your hands, but you devils took it too far. Okay, and there's a punishment for that. It said they thought that their sins had been secret and unnoticed, and there's still things that we're finding out that you devils, you know, did back in the day, man. Okay, and just because you know you have, you know, what you call it, integrated society. Okay, you know, you have nigger politicians and nigger police chiefs and you know all this forgiving. No, nah. It don't work like that. Okay, you don't set the terms of you see, you don't set the terms of your punishment. Okay, or your you know your what you call it, your retribution. Okay, you don't set the terms for that. You see, things talking about 40 acres and a mule. No, that don't suffice. Okay, so you done did niggas a few favors, which ultimately Jake, you know, is in the worst place than they've ever been. Okay, spiritually. Okay, they're in the worst place that they ever been by being integrated with you Edomites, man. Okay, but you think because you gave niggas you know, you done a few favors for niggas. Okay, you got niggas in the NFL that, you know, let bygones be bygones. Nah, man. They don't work like that, man. Okay, I say you don't get to set the terms, okay, of what the Lord has for judgment, man. You see, It said they thought that their sins had been secret and unnoticed, shielded from view by a dark curtain of forgetfulness. But now they were horribly afraid, confused, and terrified by ghostly forms, man, which was demons, man. All right, they was being tormented by spirits, man. And the Lord finna bring all this back, man. The Lord said He gonna plague Egypt with plagues as before. Okay, so the Lord's finna be a terror to you Edomites, man. Okay, and when you jump down to verse 17, or I started at verse 16. Now I started at verse 15. It said they were chased by hideous forms. Yeah, you know, they were bugging out and lay paralyzed, having strokes, terrible, you know, so afraid that they couldn't move. Okay, and as they surrendered themselves, all right, to the sudden unexpected fear that came over them, people would suddenly collapse and lie locked in the chains of their own fear, man, just frozen from fear. The Lord was being the terror to these Egyptians, man. All right, which had been the terror to His people, man. And the Lord finna be terror to you Edomites, man. Okay, it said farmers, shepherds, and laborers out in the countryside were captured by the same inevitable fate and bound in the darkness by the same invisible chain, man. So farmers, shepherds, laborers. Okay, these coming Egyptians was catching hell right along with the nobility, man. Okay, just like you coming Edomites finna suffer hell, finna catch hell. Okay, just like the elites. You see? So let's go here. Let's go to verse let's go to chapter 18. All right, so when you get chapter 18, yep, so this is a book of wisdom, Solomon 18:1. It said, yet all the while a brilliant light was shining for your holy people. Now remember why this is happening. All right, we're having the Passover. You see, while all this is happening, we're having the Passover. We're going through Exodus the 12th chapter while the Lord is tormenting, okay, these Egyptians, man. You know, and it's going to be like this for the elect, man. Okay, because the Lord is going to be making provisions and doing miracles for His elect. All right, while you heathens suffer, man. All right, while you Edomite suffer, man. Okay, according to what's that in Second Ezra 2:27 and 28. Okay, it said they envied the good fortune of your people who were not suffering. Those enemies could at least, all right, those enemies could be, all right, at least be thankful that the people they had wronged were not taking vengeance on them now. And so they begged them to leave. Then you got it, your people, as they traveled through a country they did not know, you guided them with a pillar of fire. It was like a sun that would not harm them on their glorious journey. Yeah, then Yahweh showers in that chariot, you know, guiding us through the wilderness. Okay, but their enemies who were not allowed to see the light deserved to be prisoners in darkness, because they made prisoners of your people. And it was through your people that the eternal light of the law was going to be given, all right, to the world. When your enemies were carrying out their resolve to kill the babies of your holy people, okay, because even you had the ancient Egyptians, they was feeding Jake to alligators. Okay, there was a decree to kill the Hebrew boys. All right, the men child. Okay, the men children that was born. You know, it was a decree to kill them. You see, no different than today. The gay debate of today. Okay, cutting children out of a woman's stomach. Okay, in his last go round, man, and so much more. It said there was one child who was abandoned, all right, but later rescued. Speaking of Moses, then you punish your enemies by killing a great number of their own children. You drowned their whole army at one time, okay, in rushing water. Okay, and there's another thing: the American military is finna get slaughtered all throughout the earth, man. Okay, you America, Egypt, New Egypt is finna lose, man. Your army is finna get slaughtered. okay? And your land mass is going to be turned to a desert. It's going to be the lake of fire. And it's going to burn out and be a desert. Okay, so there's no good news for you, you Edomites, man. You American Edomites. For you Edomites in general, not only you American Edomites, but it's gonna be the worst for you Edomites in America, man. You know, so Moses was rescued. Okay, he was he didn't get put to death. Okay, because there was a lot of those children being put to death, and they was preserving some of them. But there was a lot being put to death. Those Hebrew boys. Okay, but Moses was spared, and eventually through Moses, the Lord brought judgment upon, all right, ancient Egypt. Okay, and he's finna do it again. You see, in these times, man, to new Egypt. Okay, so but our ancestors had been told in advance of what would happen that night, so that they will be cheered and encouraged by confident trust, all right, in your promise to them. Okay, so I said while we was, keeping the Passover, okay, and praising the Lord and eating and feasting and to our Lord, well, these Egyptians were being tormented, man. It says your people knew that you would rescue the righteous nations and destroy their enemies. And right now, this represents the elect, man. Who have their belief and faith that the Lord is getting ready to rescue and deliver, okay, a remnant of his people and destroy our enemies, man. Okay, it says with the same act you punish our enemies and did us the glorious honor of calling us to yourself. Okay, so this Edomite told myself, well, we need to go back in slavery. No, it's the exact opposite, nigga. You finna go in slavery. We finna rule forever, nigga. It's the exact opposite of what you talking about, nigga. You going in slavery. Okay, you got 1,000 years of it, buddy. Okay, you're gonna work the rest of the teeth out your goddamn mouth, man. Okay, it says during all this time, devout people from this righteous nation was secretly offering sacrifices, the sacrificial lamb, which is symbolic of Yahushua, okay, which is through him, okay, we're going to be delivered, okay, and he's going to conquer and enslave the heathen, man, beginning with you Edomites, because you're going to have the worst captivity out of all the heathen, man. It says, giving their word to each other that they would keep the Most High's law and share each other's blessings and dangers. Already they were chanting those ancient hymns and praise, but their enemies' pitiful cries of grief echoed everywhere as they mourned, all right, for their dead children. Okay, and you Edomites can get ready, man. Okay, scriptures speak about in Isaiah how how these judgments are going to come in her perfection, the loss of children, death, grief. Okay, it's Isaiah 47. Okay, so you Edomites can get ready, man. Verse 11, masters suffered the same punishment as their slaves. The king endured the same loss as the common people, man. You common Edomites. Okay? So from the least down to you common Edomites, y'all finna get their work, man. Prophecy is finna be a terror to you Edomites, man. And then it's a beautiful thing, and we can't wait. All right? So Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you few sisters edified till next time I say shalom. Yashala, the Bible, soon, shalom.